Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming C, where we're going to do a little bit of stuff on Cinera. We might be doing more than an hour and 3 minutes and 11 seconds, so let's cue a bit more music. Yeah, man, I suppose we could queue up. Okay, computer. Alright. So we've got about 2 hours to go. So, yeah, yesterday we did this. What did we do yesterday? We did some stuff yesterday. Right, yeah, we added the C and the 0 flags, and we made the include thing resolve the paths correctly. And one thing we had to do was to make sure that the tokenizer didn't we had to make sure that it failed, essentially, gracefully. So if it can't find the file, it needs to return something that isn't actually, it needs to return a nulled out result, effectively. Now, one of the things that this is actually doing, I believe init file actually sets the path. It does this. Extend string. An extend string is effectively allocating stuff. So it's putting the path on the heap. So after initting, it will this thing will be set. I need to free that. So I think let's just do that. I think free file should do all the stuff. It frees the buffer, then it frees the path. Yeah, I think that should be alright. I'm not show how we trigger this thing though. Tokenize is if it can't find the file, isn't it? So if we go to cinera.conf and I just do that, I think this should correctly fail. And it seemed to do. Right, you have to skip a bunch of dudes. And the thing didn't die. So I think that's alright. One thing I was thinking of doing though was also, you see in the failure case here, like, we decrement the count, free the file and do result is equal to 0. I mean, it sort of seems like you want to actually sort of, I mean, this decrement of the count is a bit, it just feels a bit ad hoc. And just to explain what I mean, you do push tokens, and push tokens calls fit. Right. And then it sets this stuff up here. Yeah, it sets that stuff. So it doesn't want to clear. Yeah, this is then going and saying set most of the stuff to 0. Let's take a quick gander at that. What it contains. File counts. So what's this trying to do? It's fit in the space with the tokens. So it's saying the file count, token, current index, and current line. Count token, current index, current line. S count. I mean, basically, I'm just looking at this here. This false. This tells it whether it's clear or not. I think we might as well just make it clear. I don't know why not. Right, and then that thing's all going to be clear. You know, they're going to start off at 0. And you just do that. I think that'd be reasonable. Yeah, I can't think of a reason why not to do that necessarily. To make sure that doesn't actually fail on us. No. Yeah, that did look okay, I think. So yeah, when you push the token, it does this stuff, right? It's going to fit. Oops. Which does this. But I'm sort of wondering if essentially on popping, if the item count modded with the items per block is equal to 0, then you just reallocate it to be equal to be the item count. Right, you forget about the items per block. Like, you don't add the items per block. Is that right? I think that would be all it would be. I don't suppose you need to 0 initialize because you're just reallocating something that already contains a bunch of stuff to basically be the size that's like smaller and containing actual stuff. So yeah, I might just actually do that. So we're going to have a push tokens and a pop tokens. Which is going to take the token set. And it's going to effectively be it's just going to be this, isn't it? And then this items per block is going to come from, it's effectively this. The base is going to be the S tokens, isn't it? Item count. and it is actually just that. And the width in bytes is going to be the size of an S tokens pointer. Don't care about this. And then popping, yeah. Do you return anything? I mean, technically, you probably should actually peel it off, sort of. So you sort of dereference that. Nah, let's not bother. Let's just leave it like that. So does that look right to anyone? S tokens equal to real, the S tokens. The S count. I think that should be alright. Then, down where we actually have the push tokens call, so we've got this push tokens here. We do this, and then we free the file. I think we need to do that separately. Oh, we do need to... I mean, basically, it's only... Yeah, I think it's just replacing this and just making sure that we're reallocating. That's basically all it's doing. So what's it supposed to take? It's supposed to take a token set. What's your token set? So let's try it. Okay, so it didn't die. Cool. So I think I did it right. How could I know actually if I've done it right? I suppose one way to properly test it would be to make these people just change that to be 1, right, and see what that does. Okay, cool. So heap views have to free in scope tokens, parse config. So does this just mean that I have to fix up the pointers of stuff? File. 1984. So it's trying to read the T current index, and the T is a tokens, right? Yeah. So I'll probably do. So we do pop tokens. If that, then we need to realloc, and then we need to fix up the pointers. I think that's all it is. Um, I don't know how I offset pointers. Didn't I make a function that does this? Yeah, offset association project. Oh right, okay, so it's a specific thing. Okay, fine. I'll just do it properly, separately. Yeah, what am I actually fixing up? So the token set is going to be containing tokens. This is the thing that I'm reallocating. So it's probably actually just the token. Is that right? So for each tokens, I just say the T token. Is that right? Token contains that. Just step in and see what it's doing. Okay. Source file is more recent than executable. So we get to here. Items to block is 1. We're going to decrement the S count. So the S count is going to be currently 2. So it's going to go down to 1. Yeah, which sounds right. And then if the S count modded with the items per block is equal to 0, then we try and reallocate it. The S count times the size of S tokens. So apparently it's there in relation to that. What is the T? So the T is currently, yeah, it's now misplaced. So what is it after doing this? Oh. So does that look right? Cut index 171. I think that's right. There's no handle though. Let's run this again and just take a look at the. Let's look at that tokens before doing the reallocation. So that's where it is. There is no handle. Oh, I suppose that's okay because it's read the stuff into the buffer and then it's got rid of the handle. That's all right. So this is the stuff. The pointer is somewhere in the buffer, I think. So, and then these are the number of tokens that it's found. It's found that many tokens. So let's go on through until we do the diff, till we do the offset. Yeah, so that looks identical, doesn't it? So what's the problem? Free file result. Result is null, right? So returning null. Free include path. Ah, wasn't this where I said that we need to return null if that fails? Because I is nothing, isn't it? Yeah. I think that was it, wasn't it? If there's no I, then we return 0. I think I seem to remember saying that actually, but I never actually did it. File. So yeah, if there's that, hello daughter. A very good evening to you. Is it enough to simply to return? If there's no parent, let's go to this. This needs to free the rules. So if there's no I, we're going to try and tokenize. Where did this get called? It's all right. It's not too bad. Yeah, I haven't really been streaming actually very much, so I don't think you've missed many. What have I done since you last here? Yeah, so I did these things yesterday. added a C flag, which lets you specify the location of the config, and a 0 flag to just do a dry run basically. And then I made the include identifier. So when you do this, it makes it resolve this relative to this file that's currently being included by. Is reason tokenization do that without reason for? Yeah, there is. So tokenization. My understanding of tokenizing is basically it allows you to basically check that check that the stuff is the right syntax. So you go through this tokenization step, right? It just figures out what type of stuff you're talking about. You can do lexing while parsing for reasonable languages. Okay. Well, so yeah, tokenizing is simply it's figuring out what type of thing, what type of token things are without needing to know, without needing to care like what the actual content is. So it figures out that this is an identifier, this is an equal sign, this is a string, this is a semicolon, this is an open brace, this is a closed brace. So it figures out these kinds of things. And then once you've figured that out, you can pass that tokenized stuff into a thing that basically scopes them up. So that's basically just the, I guess, lexing, I suppose. So you can sort of say stuff like, is the token an identifier? So you start off at the beginning of the file and you say, is it an identifier? If it is, then you go in and you can continue to sort of see if the next tokens along are like syntactically valid. So it's basically for making sure that you're getting the right stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is exactly error checking. And another thing about doing the tokenizing is that it allowed me to basically, so you know that I allow including stuff. So when I do an include, the first thing I do is I first of all figure out what the actual rules are for including, and then having done that, I should tokenize, shouldn't I, somewhere? Yeah, tokenize the guys here. And basically, what this is doing is it's just taking the stuff that's in the included file and doing that process of tokenization, and it's simply, I mean, it basically just concatenates all the tokens together, really. So it sort of preserves your ability to make sure that it's syntactically correct across files, in kind of an easy-ish way, I guess. You don't need to tokenize as a separate step. You can have next token pass it. Uh, yeah, I can't remember if I considered that. Yeah, I can't remember. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the include stuffs. You don't store tokens in memory. You store the current token of the thing you're constructing in the parser. Yeah, I suppose I could have done that. Not sure. I mean, I do have the idea of type specs, which is like, it basically says what actual content these guys can contain. So like an include scope can contain allow and deny, I think. Is that right? But I guess that's come down to the parsing part. Yeah, it has allow and deny strings. Do includes influence how the file is parsed? Yeah, slightly. Yeah. So the includes has this notion of allowed stuff and denied stuff. So the stuff that's contained within the actual included file will be kind of only permitted according to these kind of rules. It still passed the same way though, like it's still tokenized. Yeah, I do think it was something to do with the including that made me feel like the tokenizing would be kind of helpful. Yeah, because like, I mean, as you're going through it, you don't need to care about the actual content, do you? Like when you're doing this tokenization, you don't care about the content. You just care about the type of the thing. Whereas if you're going to be doing the both at the same time, you need to care about both the type of the stuff. Like you need to care about this being an actual identifier, and you also need to know what this is. You need to know that this is talking about a person, so that you can then go on and kind of pass that as a person. So I suppose you've got more balls in the air. at one time. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the first time I've done a parser with a tokenizer. I think. Did I do a JSON parser with the tokenizer? I think I didn't bother to tokenize the JSON parser because it's all. It doesn't really have different types of stuff. It's just. It's basically just strings, isn't it? Keys and values. And it does have ints as well. But I mean, it's not like. It's not like these things where, like, a person can only contain a name, a homepage, a support, scope. It's kind of a bit of a different thing. And it doesn't have quite so much, like, semantic stuff in it. So I think tokenizing for a JSON parser would have been pointless because it doesn't really need to know about. It doesn't really need to be super. How can I say it? It's a bit more of a loose language, isn't it? But this, it sort of needed. It just needed a bit more stuff to make sure it was valid, really. And it just comes down to error checking, really, ultimately. So we were just about to do that, weren't we? Else return 0, so we have done that. So let's just see if this has actually done it. Yeah, it wasn't actually here, was it? That apparently fails. It was down at. Is when we come out of it. So if we have got an I at this point, so basically, I should tokenize. If we have got an I, then we continue and call. I think we're in scope tokens ourselves here. But if we don't, then return 0. Oh, interesting. So that's just it's just done that, is it? So returning isn't sufficient. Let's prevent that from happening and just continue following it through. Let's just produce the tokens and parts construct the tree. Yeah, yes, I think it is in the grammar. If your grammar is context free. The incoming tokens. Oh, I'm operating on the old tokens, aren't I? Ah, that's it. Yeah. Into. Having done this, I actually need to say, if we haven't managed to tokenize, we actually need, I think, to say is the tokens set. Is that right? I think it's count -1 by the way as well. I think that's our problem. Because basically, if I continue, I think this is where it fails, by the way. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just real out the tokens. It's real out this. So we need to just fix that up, I think, is what we need to do. That allows you to tokenize a person's data. Do you think it's... I guess, yeah, that's the JSON thing, isn't it? Because JSON is context free. So it depends what you mean by context free, because like syntactically, yeah, I just don't even know what on it. I don't like really know that I care about context freeness. So like yeah, I mean like syntactically this, it does depend on the context. So like, so this is an identifier which has to be followed by an equal sign, which has to be followed by a string, and then at this point it could be followed by a semicolon, or it could be followed by an opening brace. Right, like these guys. So this is like, well, it can also be an integer as well, or it could be a boolean. But I mean, it's a string, but it gets treated as a boolean because of the type of this. Yeah, so you've got an identifier equal sign, and then an integer or a string, and then a semicolon, or an opening brace. And then once you're into the opening brace, you're then into this situation where it needs to be an identifier, an equal sign, and a thing. Right. So there's... I'm not sure I understand what... Like how you can get rid of context, essentially. Because if you're saying you want context free, you should effectively be able to say, like, that, shouldn't you? And it'd be able to figure out that that is a thing. Or, I mean, I guess it'd be that. Does that make sense? I need a way to be able to say that this is, like, syntactically valid. So in terms of syntax, I think you just... Well, I can't figure out a way to get rid of context. And then... Okay, so you basically... Yeah, so what you're saying is there is context, there is syntactic context for this. It needs to be an identifier followed by one of these, followed by one of these, and then one of these is one of these, or one of these, or one of those. So yeah, I mean, that isn't context free, is it? Because it depends on... A declaration is saying it needs to have this kind of syntax. And then semantically, once you've got the syntax down, yeah, semantically, I do have the actual contextual stuff, don't I? Like in the context of a person, you can only have a name or a homepage, or a support. And in the context of a support, you can only have a URL and an icon. So yeah, I guess this definitely isn't a context-free language. And also, like the include stuff, these rules, like saying whether you're allowed to say you're allowed to have a person in this file, you're allowed to have a medium in the file, you're allowed to have these things in this file. This is very contextual stuff as well, because it's saying, it's first of all just figuring out, is this even included, as opposed to being like the top level config file. And if it is included, apply these permissions to it to make sure that you're not pulling in stuff that shouldn't be set. So there is quite a lot of context in this thing. See what you've done after you've passed the whole thing. I've got you, I think. So after you've passed the whole thing, so you do the full pass, and then you go through. Okay, so I think in doing the... Yeah, I'm doing that while I'm pushing it into the scope tree. I'm making sure I'm establishing the semantics. While actually pushing it onto the scope tree. So I suppose if I'm understanding you right, you're doing kind of parsing, which is including, you're doing like the... I mean, sort of tokenizing and lexing in the same step. And then after having done that, you do the semantic checking. So you've got these two layers. I guess I'm just doing it like the other way around. Like I'm doing the tokenization as a step, and then I'm doing the stuffing onto a parse tree and establishing the semantic kind of validity of it at the same time, I think. Because you can see here, it's the field. Right, it's switched on the field. What is it? Yeah, it's field permitted, so it needs to check that first of all. So yeah, it pulls off the token identifier, and then it says if the current field is in spec, and the field is basically saying is a name in the spec of a person, right? Or is a person inside the spec of the root scope. And if it is, then it goes in and continues to parse. If it isn't, then we report that it can't. Yeah, we just say invalid field. Depart that assignment and then free the scope tree. And the scope tree is simply just one of these small guys. So what this basically means is, if you're in this scope and you see something that shouldn't be there, you see something that can't be set in there, then you just get it's probably that actually, isn't it? If fields yeah, it's one of these, isn't it? Well, no, it's going to be this guy. It's going to be the invalid field, probably. You know, like if you put in a person, if you put like favorite edits, right? If you put like that in, I think you should hit the invalid field, shouldn't you? Oh, it's going to do the include before we get there, isn't it? Because that's there. Well, let me just see. And source file is more recent than executable, so yeah, that's completely not going to get anywhere. That's just not running under there. Yeah, we're getting invalid field imported. Not only was declaration be ordered independent. What you mean, like saying this? Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's just pure. It's just pure habit. Just me doing that. That doesn't make a difference at all. And you can, I mean, you can do this. Like you can stick them all on the same line and stuff like that. Because it's not white space dependent either. It doesn't need to be like that, for example. Yeah. Still got this Unicode thing going on in there. So yeah. So token is, it's still failing. Token set. Tokens counts. T token. Oh. Oh, right. Yeah, I must think the wrong thing. Aren't I? Aren't I? It's the S tokens that I need to be actually offsetting. Isn't it? Well, no, because this was saying... No, I'm going to take that back. I think that's fine. Tokens T. Let's take another quick look at that scope tokens. Yeah, so it is T that I just tried to change. Because this guy got invalidated. So T, adding that, and then we're trying to fix that up. Oh. I haven't dropped any frames. CPU seems to be reasonable. I'm sorry, dude, I'm not sure what I can do. What I'm trying to do here. Yeah, I'm trying to see what's actually happening, aren't I? So yeah, if we don't get the I, T's currently, I mean the T's currently okay, but what is it now? Buffer location. Ah, actually, yeah, so that did get invalidated. Now do I need to change the location of these tokens now? Surely I don't, but maybe I do. Oops. Okay, so we do now pass that. So it doesn't like that. Interesting. So is it that for each set of tokens I need to then offer the token? Sure. Passing is a nice whole thing that's easy separate from the check-in. Twitch. Ah, right. Have you thought of watching via Streamlink? I think this is it. This is how I watch. Yeah, it's not that. It's basically that. Yeah, so this is how I watch stuff. So it's with like MPV. It's with, you know, like a separate media player. Just run that again. Right, so we're decrementing this. So for each token, we're moving those. Yeah, I'm not convinced that that's actually right. Am I? It's a bit weird though that for each token I'm offsetting that token. I think I don't need to do that actually. I think that all I actually need to do is just to set this. I think that's it actually. Right. I think that was the only thing that I needed to do. Because that's the thing that's got stale. It's not the tokens themselves that ever got stale. That shouldn't have... Yes, it's zeroed. Right, so that does that. So it's pop the tokens. Does that. And then here, it's just going to set that to be that. So it's currently kind of garbage because we've reallocated the stuff. I mean, this is sort of stale. But if we hop over that, this now gets populated with the actual stuff. And they sort of match. I think that's more correct. Right, so then we do actually pass. We get through here. And then these tokens, this is where I was failing, I think. Maybe. Yeah, this is continuing. So yeah, that's complete garbage. The only thing that the pop tokens actually needs to do is decrement and then realloc. And then, yeah, if we have done that, we also need to just put this back to 4. yeah, if we've done that, then we simply need to hang on a second. Is the count the correct thing to be talking about? I think it is the correct thing to be talking about. So when you're including something, yeah, if you encountered include, you got your tokens here. Yeah, I do feel like whenever you're including, like whenever you encounter an include thing, right? Whenever you encounter one of these, you are always going to be pushing on a token set, or you're going to be pushing on you're going to be pushing on tokens onto the token set. So it's always going to be at the token set.count. Right, I think that's right. Give me a try. You also set up an IC client. Back in 7 minutes through his dying. Oh no. Oh, dude. Just give us. I'm just gonna be back in a couple of minutes myself. That wasn't power outro. No, I don't think it was. Yeah, be right back. Okay. Off we go. Pushing onto a token set, you shouldn't use the word set there, really, because it specifies no ordering of elements. Yeah, I mean, I could call it a token stream, couldn't I? I mean, basically the idea is that it's... I mean, I suppose what I would say also is that set didn't have that implication for me. Yeah, it's just supposed to be saying like it's just multiple lots of tokens, really. So yeah, I think these tokens are going to apply for an entire file. Will this be more suited here? Could be. I mean, I don't really care, honestly. Token set. There we go. You're not sure what he's set for? Okay. So the token set, as it was, or the tokens list, yeah, it's basically like, so the tokens struct, it's the thing that is associated with files. So it's like this file, Cinera.conf is going to contain a bunch of tokens, all this stuff. And then the token set is going to contain a number of those things. So it's like a number of files of worth of stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I mean, you can sort of, they end up getting passed in different orders, actually, for that matter. Because, like, when you encounter this include token, this thing will then get, the contents of these tokens will then get stuffed onto the scope tree. And then having done that, it then pops back to the previous lot of tokens. It's a list of lists of tokens. Yeah. Oh, that's what it was, yeah. Set of lists of tokens, yeah. Yeah, strangely, I don't think I really used the word list, actually. Not exactly sure why that thinks it wants to be doing that. I mean, you could say token stack, actually. Oh, I have a string list. So what do I use this for? Yeah, what do I use a string list for? Derived lineage project, a string list. Right, so I think I used this. Strings list. I mean, it contains a count and a bunch of strings. Okay, so I think what these guys are saying is the config include is going to contain this string list allow is going to contain person medium, project.default medium, and project.unit. I think that's what that's going to be containing. So it's like I mean, for that matter, I mean, these guys don't even need to be hooded actually, because it doesn't matter. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, deposit include files. Yeah. So I think part of the reason is I'm doing them separately, aren't I? Like I could conceivably do this, couldn't I? Well, I couldn't actually. I can't. I'm not allowed to do that. I don't think. Yeah, a person can't contain an include scope. So when I encountered that, I encountered that when I'm pushing onto the scope, so onto this. Well, hold on, I do. Yeah, I do that, don't I? Yeah, I do. I do call scope tokens right there. If the passing the current content line that includes them, can't they just be passed if they're right there in the code? Yeah, I mean, this is what I do. Scope tokens is the thing that actually stuff. This is the file that we're currently in, the function that we're in at the moment. Scope token is going to call itself. So yeah, it just does the same thing. It just does the tokenization. It just tokenizes then and then throws those tokens into scope tokens. tokens list. Let's just rename that other guy. What did I just do? I mean, do I use set many places? Yeah, I mean, I suppose I kind of like the fact that I'm not going to use the word set, because set has a lot of meanings. Believe it or not, it's like one of the most it's one of the words in the language in English that's got the most meanings. Although I don't particularly mind about that. I mean, you care about words having multiple meanings if you want context freeness. Still a reason to store tokens. Well, I mean, like we've been saying though, storing the tokens in the first place it just allowed me to do the syntax checking without needing to care about the type of the thing. Oh, the actual contents of the thing. And then, like, when I'm doing the actual parse, that's the part where I'm establishing the actual semantics. So, I mean, it's kind of a muchness, isn't it? People just program doing math like to use set for a specific set of operations. I'm cool with it being less though. That's fine. So yeah, we've done the pop tokens, which I was hoping would just be a really quick thing. But I just overlooked the necessity to do this little thing here. Yeah, I just overlooked this necessity. That was it, basically. I shouldn't have been offsetting the tokens. So now I've done that, let us go. Let's do the templates thing. So let's just double check. What was it? It was we probably will actually need the full path of a config file. Yeah, we are doing that. We're passing the full path now. So yeah, push tokens, and then if we don't manage to get that file, we free that file and we pop the tokens. Set the result to 0. Yeah, push config watch, and I think we will need to do this as well actually, but we'll get to that. So the template stuff. Actually, is it right here? Where's default property? It's a set current project. So basically, yeah, we're saying set current project is responsible for packing templates. Which I personally think is a load of garbage. I think that sync project basically what's happening here is we've got multiple projects in the database, and when you, I'll just show you. Just actually fix up the path. So we've got multiple things here. Now if we just add something to here, right, it sets the correct project, hero code, it does this packing templates thing, and then it does its stuff. If I do a similar thing here, what's it called? Let down, isn't it? Karma. Right, so this was on project hero code, and then we modified something in a different project, risky. It switched to risky, and then it packed the templates again. Now what we'd like to do is just change these guys so they just contain the template straight up. Right, so switching templates doesn't actually do anything with the switching project doesn't do anything with the templates. Copy.c. Okay. Can I just do this? Actually, what have we got? So we've got a string search template, a string player template. I mean, I suppose I could also pack these a bit nicer. Okay. Blimey, got all this stuff. So I think we could just take all this stuff down, up rather. Yeah. So yeah, for each thing, we're basically going to go through, and I think sync project is the initialization of them, I think. So effectively what you'd be doing is it wants to take points to a template, a location and a type. Right, perfect. So I think Is this the set current project function? Yeah, it is. Current project player template. So I think sync project can call set current project, and then rather than set current project itself doing the templates, this guy does it. Right, I think that's it. It's pretty basic, but I think that's all it needs to have. All we need to do. Ah, right. Yes, it doesn't need to be a pointer. It needs to be an actual thing, doesn't it? Is that right? And then you actually have to pass it by the address of it. Is that any better? But the next book I'd recommend if you want something different. Praise to praise. I think about it too much. I could have it's about category theory. Okay, cool. These ain't towards programs, but uses both civil cycles and everything that he's talking about. Did I see the word Minkowski there? Oh, Milevsky. Give later if you feel like it. Category theory for programmers. Cheers. I will. I've got no idea what category theory is, but I am interested in categorization. I still need to, what's that? Template, where did that come from? I still need to watch Glenn Gould's talk and this thing. And look at this in stuff. I think I haven't done anything actually. I think I looked at I think I watched one of those voting method things, voting method videos. Yeah, I looked at, what was it? I think I watched the one for mixed mode proportional representation. I don't remember watching the gerrymandering one. Positive first, I suppose. Yeah, so the mixed mode proportional representation one was kind of interesting because it does like the first past the post one first, doesn't it? And then it kind of figures out after having done that phase, it then apportions more seats to the underrepresented people according to the I mean, was it the Dont method? It was some sort of method of apportioning seats that were underrepresented, so they somehow figure out that somebody's underrepresented. Seems kind of interesting. The first past the post one, it kind of I mean, I know it's only 6.5 minutes, so they couldn't really cover the whole thing. Um, but one thing that they didn't mention was they didn't mention how you can actually make first past the post work for you. And you can actually make it work for you, right? The thing about it though, the thing about voters making it work for them is that it's just like a massive upheaval, really. So the way that you'd make first past the post work for you is basically you need to organise enough people to move into a constituency. So you get enough people who support a party. You all just en masse just move into a constituency and vote for the party that you want. That's basically how you could make first past the post work for you. Right, and then if like everybody's on board with that, if the entire country is on board with that idea, then you basically just move people around into the constituencies that would all be voting for the same thing. So then you can kind of get roughly proportional representation out of it. But you can sort of see that is just a nightmare, isn't it? Like having to organise all that stuff is just a pain in the ass. So you've got the organisational problem, but also once you've done that, you're in a situation where you're just living with people who all share the same values, right? So you can kind of end up in like physical bubbles. I mean, like when you're on like the internet, you can end up finding yourself in like groups of people who all share the same kind of ideas, and you're kind of in a bubble. I mean, they say that about Twitter, don't they? That it is like a bubble. We don't really have bubbles necessarily in the physical world. But if you were to do this idea of like moving everyone into the same constituency, it'd kind of end up with that idea of bubbles and like monocultures. I originally thought it was ghettos, but ghettos aren't quite that. I believe ghettos are like a small minority of a population that's kind of concentrated on a particular, they share the same values. So it's not really ghettos, but it's just like, just monocultures. And I don't really think that's very good, really. I think it's cool to have different, different cultures just like all able to kind of contribute and get representation. So yeah, the thing about first past the post is that it's sort of, if you want it to work for you, it just encourages monoculturalism, really. So it could have been cool if they'd mentioned that in the video. It could have been cool if they just said, yes, these are the problems with it, and in order to make it work in any way for you, you can do this stuff of moving around. But if you move around, then you end up in the situation where it's just basically monocultures. And it's just a bit of, like putting that burden on the voters is just something that I don't think is desirable, really. You want to actually set up the actual like electoral system in such a way that people don't have to do that, really. Because it's not really a practical option, is it? So is that it? Is that all that this does now? Set current project. If the current project is not the P, then we free the database file. Well, hang on a second. It's the index file. Why don't we just add that to the project? Because that currently is a thing. db.file. And it's just a straight up file. Let's just build this for starters. I think we need to have a free project thing, by the way, where we have the free project. We also wanted to free the template. Do we even have a free template call? Yeah. Yeah, I think this is garbage now. Might put me the other way around as well, actually. And it needs to really properly the pointer to it. And that probably needs to actually have the free template call available. There's probably there was just kind of unbiased things because you have to. Yeah, I agree that bias, you can't. Yeah, I mean, bias is a whole other question, isn't it? Good as a completeness theorems. That's going straight in notes. Incompleteness. It's about how every system of truths expressive enough to talk about itself cannot prove every truth that. And also cannot prove it has no inconsistencies. Interesting. That is interesting. Every system of truths. Gosh. So a system of truth is expressive enough to talk about itself. Yeah, I'll watch that with interest. Yeah, I mean, a system, isn't it? A system is something that's yeah, that is interesting. I thought that something that was man-made could be I mean, more knowable than something that wasn't made by a man. That's something that was recently mentioned in a book that it was mentioned in a book that I've recently read. Um, pretty goddamn sure it was The Human Condition by Hannah Arendt. Is that right? Yeah, The Human Edition. Human Condition. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure in that it's to do with the telescope, the invention of the telescope. Like, it basically exposed the fact that that you can't know stuff that wasn't made by man. Is that what she was saying? Or was it all? Was it more just that you can only really know stuff within the framework of stuff that we make? It was to do with perspectives. Like the telescope gave you a perspective outside yourself. Right, so previously, before the invention of the telescope, people couldn't really. Your observations were just all done by your own eyes, by your own eyesight. And from your perspective, stuff looked as it looked. But the invention of the telescope gave you a view that was like. It was like a further perspective. You know, when you can sort of observe stuff in a way that you couldn't observe it before. But I think also some of the idea was like giving ourselves that other perspective is still dependent on man-made stuff. So you could conceivably make a telescope that makes stuff appear as you want it to appear. You know, like a kaleidoscope. Like you could make a telescope that's just a kaleidoscope and it contains little bits of glass. And if you just sort of take it as read that that's what stuff looks like in that perspective, you're kind of basing your understanding on. I mean, you're basing your understanding on whatever you're presented with, aren't you? It can be derived from this statement cannot be proved. Even if you're correct, you cannot prove anything. You can only prove something is wrong. I think you said something like this about hash things, didn't you? If I remember right. Oh, init template. So does that need to happen? Wait a minute. What does pack template do? Oh right, that does do init template. Okay, so I think the init template yeah, that does need to be available before that. Well, actually, even if that is available before that, then that's fine. Init file is up there. Clear template metadata. Push template tag. Oh, actually, it was just above config.c, wasn't it? Free file needs to come up then. Which means that free buffer needs to go up. Where's the free buffer going to be exactly? Everyone voted to be the good thing is a bold assumption. Yeah, but the thing is though, if not everyone can vote, then you can just like I don't like the idea of people having to pass a test in order to vote, right? Because that's what that's what it boiled down to, isn't it? Because that's just prone to like the people who set the test just like skewing it in favour of people whose views they would like to actually want to represent. I actually prefer the so there's that way, isn't there? It's like in order to get a in order to get the opinions of people whose values you actually want to respect, you can limit the people. You can like figure out which people you want to actually give you their views. I actually prefer the idea of skilling everyone up to be able to give you their views. Like giving everyone the opportunity to actually do that, if you know what I mean. And I mean, democracy is a risk. Proportional representation, introducing that would be a risk. I mean, it basically needs humility really on the part of the people who are going to introduce it. Because in our current situation with first past the post, in order to win, you need to have a big majority, or well, you need to have a majority. Um, and having one, if you don't have humility, then you want to retain the system that got you into the position of winning, wouldn't you? So it does take humility for somebody to actually win. Well, for somebody having won, to actually change the system to one that would actually potentially give them less of a hold on power. I prefer to stay away from words like power, by the way, when talking about politics, but it's a bit of a shorthand. You just don't like to hear compromise is good. Yeah, well, I mean, compromise is just compromise, isn't it? I mean, obviously. um, yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a risk. So this one's about. It's about Gödel. It's about Gödel. I want to write it like this. Really? Oh, look at that, it's like a smiley face. Actually, I suppose. I wonder if it was actually Gödel that she mentioned. I mean, it's this idea, isn't it, that your axioms are right, but right according to what? Right according to some universal laws, or right according to, like, stuff that we've made ourselves? So what have I just done? I've just done free templates, haven't I? I've got the free project person to do free template. Generally about Gödel. Free template motivator. Oh right, yeah, that's part of free template. Yeah. In fact, sync project is within well, actually, is it here? I think it is here, yeah. So it sets the current directory, project, and then it tries to do the packing of the template. Right. And it does all this business. Now, yeah, the bespoke template. Let's change these geezers over to use the actual thing. The actual thing from the template, from the project. Yeah, let's do that. And then I think that these guys don't need to happen. Right, because after having gone through all the current projects, we've packed them up. Right, so effectively, we won't need this, and also we won't need these dudes either. The bespoke template, I think we could reasonably keep separate. I'm not sure whether the sync project needs to take that though, does it? Does it? I think that this could just reasonably do this itself. Can't it? I think that'll be right. You don't mean write some things outside of that. You mean write as in you can't derive two opposing statements from them. Oh right, our axioms aren't contradictory. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, why is this having to take the bespoke template? Let's hang on a minute. Let me just back that out a minute and just let the bespoke template pass through as it was. And just start off by making the guys actually use the search and the play template from the thing. Right, so we're there, right? Let's just do this first, and then we can talk about getting rid of the thing. I suppose the interesting thing about this now, actually, is that insert entry knows that it should be talking about the player template if it's got one. Right? Was that it? Was that what you needed to do? Sorry, player template. Set current project. Yeah, like this guy doesn't need to know those. Yeah, okay, so it's this, isn't it? Isn't it? Sync project. It doesn't need to pass to those people. So it thinks it's supposed to be taking a collision. Current project search. Yeah, right. So I need to remember. I suppose actually in the project in the right, I think I should actually do this. I think that would be a bit more sensible. Yeah, because then I actually know what I'm talking about. Sync project doesn't need to take these guys at least. So this is out in Maine, isn't it? Yeah, this is out in Maine, isn't it? So I think I was saying that this doesn't have to happen. Yeah, because we've done sync projects. Okay, so now let's just prevent monitor file system from passing those dudes. And recheck privacy. isn't it? Well, let's do one at a time. Insert entry. We just didn't take it, didn't we? So, search templates. Yeah, I mean, I suppose one unfortunate thing about calling it the same thing is that it's less easy to find, isn't it? These guys don't need to happen, do they? I mean, this actually should be. So what's going to happen here? I think this is just going to quit, isn't it? So technically we don't need to care about freeing anything because it just does it itself. So I guess let's not bother. Right, we could do free thingamajig there, free config. And then loop over the projects going free projects. Just want to have a quick gander at this. Recheck privacy. Ah, right. So it would have been passing the templates through to insert entry. Let's continue going through. Now, let's just do a quick gander. That template structure, does it contain... Yeah, it does contain a file. But I suppose the template itself could be null. In which case, if the template is null, why bother to check on the template file path? Yeah, I think this is something that I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to bother dealing with. So that's the only place that search template is being used. Okay. Aha, so here we go. Or rather, no. This does need to actually take the player template, so it needs to know whether it's using the bespoke or the actual player template. So yeah, I think that one is reasonable. Right. Insert entry passes either the bespoke template or it passes the current project's player template. So yeah, I think that's everything. The only other thing that I was thinking of was the index file, wasn't it? This thing here, this free file. So init neighborhood, it does that init file, doesn't it? This thing here. It's kind of funny, like set current pro. I mean, I know. Oh, it does actually the init neighborhood, actually, doesn't it? But it almost seems like set current project is basically doing nothing. Let's build and see what happens. I don't think we've got any templates set, by the way, so it's not actually going to have to do anything. But yeah, it's going to switch to project, and now instead of doing the packing templates call, you don't see it doing that. And also, I am going to remove these from the actual printout. Yeah, so I think templates directory, home Cinera. Alright, dude. Cheers for popping in. Have a good night. 1 o'clock in the morning. I assume that's the right place for that. Should we just try it? Just see what happens when I actually do this. I would expect at least some projects, some things not to be found. So it's in that. Search name must include one. So it includes. So it's trying to pack. Yeah, intro to C. Unsearchable media for projects. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's just let's say this only applies to risky. just to get us out of that situation. Template search risky, so let's just check out that directory. So we've got index template. Oh, right. What was it called? Index. Okay, so it's that. So it's not search, it's just this. It's kind of interesting that it's said. We've got an exit code somewhere. So yeah, packing templates. Second product. I assume we're hitting one of these. Player template path.length. So I believe the player template path should be. What's it trying to pack actually? It's trying to pack the index template risky, so it's trying to pack this guy. Search template path. But we're getting some sort of an error. I don't think non-existent image asset matters. Main.css. Let's step in and see what's going on. Yeah, I suppose I shouldn't really have stepped to that exactly. I should have been stepping into pack template. So it's containing some stuff. Claim buffer. Have we set to the arena yet? Oh, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be because we haven't got a file, isn't it? I think this is actually parsing okay, but yeah, it's could not load file. So if we couldn't load the file, do we just break? Yeah. Also, the invalid template thing probably also. Yeah, we've got this note to urgently decide how we handle the case in which we've been given an invalid template. That's basically the situation that we're in now. So what's going on here is that we couldn't load a template. Is effectively what's going to happen. Right. Yeah, actually init template. Is anyone actually able to return the fact that it couldn't load the file? Yeah, I don't think they are. I suppose you could. I mean, I really want to get to sort of a place where I can actually know which case we've hit. So we've already passed there. I'm not exactly sure what this if 0 and if around that is supposed to be telling us. It's probably to do with the forced input integration. So if we have asset passing errors, so okay then, that constitutes an invalid template, does it? Not just a new address there. HTML to HTML. Where's that getting that from? HMML to HTML. Oh, it hasn't been. It's not the full path. Is it? So this is probably. Init template. Well, I suppose actually maybe init template managed to get the full thing out. Yeah, shouldn't init file have set the path? It should have done. Let's run it once more. So that time it succeeded. So it managed to. Oh, that was for the code person. Yeah, it's going to have a bunch of these. So now we're in sync project, aren't we? We're trying to pack this template. Now, having init that template. Oh, I guess before it was returning, it's going to free that file. That's probably what's going on. Asset parsing. Actually, we hit this, didn't we? I mean, I suppose we could also jump to there. So it's got to see the then logo 32. Oh, it's not quoted, is it? Well, we're still okay though. So apparently it knows it wants an image. It still doesn't know, does it, what the actual full path is? Oh. Wrap 0 on the asset string.pointer. That can't work, can it? Because this thing isn't null terminated, is it? Well, maybe it is. Yeah, the thing is though, it doesn't know what the actual path is, does it? Oh, maybe that's okay if we get at it actually though. Well, could that be okay? Yeah, I suppose it does construct that asset path. So that thinks it's supposed to be there. It doesn't exist. Okay, so that's why it was failing. It's failing because it doesn't know where that file is. Make it an invalid template. So if we just don't make an invalid template, or if we just stick this down here for now and just let it continue. I'd just like to see, like, if it crashes or something. Okay, so it doesn't crash. So we patched template, index template box, so this shouldn't exist. So you put the template for this guy, for this guy. But it doesn't seem to have actually... Oh, it's the index file, isn't it? Cinera test risky index.h. Risky. Not a distant image asset. Oh, are they all just failing? The template card seems to succeed, as did template risk. Okay. Yeah, and this is looking garbage because it hasn't been able to find the actual CSS files. So since it hasn't been able to find that CSS file, shouldn't it actually tell us about that? Unless main CSS is not actually the one for risky. Why did it take me to there? Is that because it's that? Oh, maybe just clicked on Mio there, probably. Oh. So there's some garbage there. Interesting. Risky risk. Okay, so this definitely should not be that. Risky risk. I presume that that's just supposed to be a null. Let's try Again, just doing it fresh. See what it produces. It doesn't like that, does it? It does not like that at all. So yeah, there's something we need to fix in there. Let's do it. Pattern was doing it. Yeah, I mean this is basically done. But now what we need to do is we need to actually get it right. So yeah, it's not that we actually pull that part in. Right, so that's effective like a I mean, that'll kind of signify it. Yeah, I'm really not sure what that could be down to. So you can still see that this has happened, right? Logo underscore 32.png has ended up with a hash of all zeros, which sort of suggests that that file has not been found, doesn't it? And since it hasn't been found, we've probably packed the templates erroneously. Because we would have, I think we would have come out from pack template saying that it's an invalid template. Yeah, let's leave that to you tomorrow. We've done enough today. Done about 3 hours. So thank you very much, Heroes and Heroines, for being here, for being beautiful and fantastic, and for being templated, I suppose. We didn't really get onto the party part of the search stuff. We did a lot of popping. Yeah, I mean, I suppose this was like popping, and it was, what was it? Tokens popping. And sort of minimal initialization of templates, minimal packing of templates, I guess. But yeah, anyway, we'll continue this tomorrow. Thank you very much, Heroes and Heroines. Until next time, farewell for now.